Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? My beard is gray and my name is Trey. Let me go ahead and change the screen real quick just to bring it up just a tad. All right, so check it out. Welcome back to another video episode of AWS Cloud Quest series. We are doing the Solutions Architect role. Thank you all who have joined us before. If this is your first time joining us, we are playing an interactive game, right, where we're learning all about AWS and the different services that provide, right, from a solutions architect's perspective. This is a great way to just journey into the cloud, you know, tinker around, press a few buttons, and kind of learn about what the cloud is. So that's what we're doing in this series. If you could all do me a favor, please click like, share, subscribe, right? Tell a friend, you know, about what we're doing here with this series. If you haven't seen the first series that we've done, I invite all of you to go watch the playlist where we went through the Cloud Practitioner Role for anyone who's interested in studying for the Cloud Practitioner certification for AWS, right? That's a great way to get hands-on experience, right? So now if you're bumping it up a notch, right, and you're studying for the Solutions Architect Associate exam, this is another way to get practical experience. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are interested in transitioning into the cloud, but you're coming from another sector, right, whether you're working non-IT or you're actually in IT, but haven't had that exposure to the cloud, right? So the cloud right now is like an abstract concept. So that's what we're doing today. We're playing this game. So you can just follow along. You can create a skill builder account and follow along, right, by going to this website. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, pull this up. You can go to this skill builder. You can just type in AWS skill builder, create an account, and then you can play along in the game when you watch these videos. All right, so done all the administrative stuff I need to do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with today's Cloud Quest, right? And today we are doing, let me see, the AWS Backup, I believe, right? Backup data, yes. So we're going to get on our hoverboard here, all Michael J. Fox style, right, and ride through the mean streets of the AWS center that they've created here, right? Try not to get any traffic charges on the way to our destination. You know, we want to obey all traffic laws and, you know, don't piss anybody off. All right, here we go. All right, so now, this is what we do, right, as cloud engineers, right? We provide services for customers. So you might find yourself, if you're in a customer-facing role where you have to talk and communicate with customers, they give you their problems and then you have to solve their solutions. So that's what we're doing here today. All right, let's go. So here we go. So hello there, right? This is our customer talking to us. I was hoping you might be able to help me. We are using several scripts to back up our applications, and they are getting difficult to maintain. Is there a better way to do this, right? So they want to back up their applications. Yes, I am happy to help. What type of data are you backing up? We need to back up our Bastion host storage, the centralized storage used by our web servers, and our database snapshots, right? So you have two components, a web server and then a database, right? And they want to back up the web server storage, then the database snapshots, which is just like a working image of a database, right? Do you have a recovery time objective? This is when in disaster recovery, right? So you have a recovery time objective, recovery point objective, so on and so forth, right? So we are asking the customer, do you have a recovery time objective? How soon, like if the system goes down, how soon do you need it to come back up, right? And if you were working, like let's say you were working at a certain point, right? Let's say you were 30% in there, like what's the point that you want to bring it back up to the last place that it was at. So imagine if you was playing like a video game and the power suddenly went off, right? Do you want to start the game all the way over, or do you want to start back at the level that you was at, all right? That's like your recovery point objective, all right? Hey, I'm not familiar with those terms. Can you explain? I explained to y'all, but we'll see what they say, right? All right, so recovery time objective, all right, is the maximum acceptable delay between the interruptions of service and its restoration, right? Recovery point objective is the maximum acceptable amount of time since the last data recovery point. This determines what is considered an acceptable loss of data, all right? Ah, I understand now. No, we don't have a RTO or an RPO requirements. So that's very good, right? For us, right? Okay, How about we start with a simple backup and storage solution without a strict RTO or RPO, but using a more reliable method than scripts, right? That would be a really good start, but how? We can use AWS Backup to conduct on-demand backups and schedule backups. Let's create an on-demand backup, and then we can create a backup plan to perform scheduled backups using tags on your resources. Great. Can we get started now? I accept this mission, right? Learning objectives, create a backup plan for EBS volumes using tags, create an automatic backup plan. All right, so let's go ahead and start our quest today. All right, so now this brings you to your kind of like your learning diagram, right? You know, when you're solutions architect out there, you know, everything is built on diagrams. So this is just a diagram that tells you kind of like how the services operate with each other, right? It's like a flow chart, right? So the web service here has an EBS volume, elastic block store. Imagine this being like a digital hard drive, right? Like you store all the information from your web service on this EBS, and then you create this backup plan, right? You have these key management service. You have these encrypted keys, right? So that way, you know, you can make sure that who is actually backing up stuff or who can have access to that data can have it, right? And then down here, we have our Amazon Aurora database, okay? So then we have assigned tags here. All right, this is the tag backup minus DIY, do it yourself equals true. And this is the backup plan, and this is our customer key. Now, for those of y'all, if this might be the first time you're watching, if you ever playing this game and you wanna know more about the service, all you gotta do is click on this button right here, and then you have these videos that will break it down and tell you all about the service, right? We won't do this here while we're doing it, but that's just something that you can take advantage of. All right, so now, using AWS Backup, you can centralize and automate data protection across AWS services, right? In this solution, AWS Backup creates backup of Amazon EBS volumes for each Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute EC2 instance. For the Amazon EBS volumes, this solution uses a new backup vault, right? You got to create a new backup vault, which is a container that stores and organizes your backups. All right, a backup plan. Part of the backup vault defines when and how you want to back up your AWS resources. You can create multiple backup plans for different backup requirements. Like you might say, hey, I want to save all my data on Monday, or I want to save all this particular data on Tuesday or Wednesday. You have the flexibility to do all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. All right, you can assign a resource to backup plan, and that resource backed up automatically according to the backup plan. You can assign resources using tags or resource IDs, okay? All right, each backup vault must have an AWS key management service, right? Encryption key, which encrypts the backup placed in the backup vault, right? Just an extra layer of security. All right, to back up an Amazon Aurora database, this solution uses the default backup vault that is created automatically for the AWS account. All right, so the backup on Amazon Aurora database, this solution uses a default backup vault that is created automatically for the AWS account. Okay, cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and go to our plan. So this is what we're gonna do today, right, in our practice lab. Okay, so create a custom backup vault. Configure an on-demand backup of Amazon EBS volumes with a resource ID. Create an automatic backup plan for Amazon EC2. Attach Amazon EBS volumes using tags, right? Then you got to do it yourself. Configure an AWS backup plan for Amazon Aurora, right? Service cluster by using the default backup vault. Assign the Amazon Aurora serverless cluster as a resource by using the tag backup minus DIY equals true. All right, cool. Now I read all that. Let's see if I can remember that, man. That's a lot. All right, cool. So here we go. So backing up data. So the first thing when you come to these exercises, right, is you want to see if there's any associated lab files. So right here we have lab files. There is no associated lab file, so we're good to go here. So now all you want to do is start your lab. All right, so now our lab is being provisioned. So what AWS has done within the gameism, right, is that they have created an interactive lab for us. They've went out and built a lot of services that coincide with this troubleshooting scenario, right? So what we're doing right now is we're just waiting for all that to kind of spin up in the background. Anytime you got something dealing with databases, it's going to take a little second, right? I've done a couple of these exercises, and then also, like, you know, I work for AWS, so I've done different labs that they have, like AWS jams and different things of that nature. So databases always take a while to kind of like spin up, right? So, you know, while we're waiting, again, if you have not done so, please click like, subscribe to the channel, right, so you can see all the content as soon as I create it. Hit that notification bell, and you know, any other thing of that nature, right, and share the content with others. Now, while we're still waiting for the lab to spin up, right, let me talk a little bit more about like disaster recovery. Okay, so when it comes to disaster recovery, right, this is why this is very, very important to like companies. Like, let's say, you know, like there's a massive power outage, right, within the area. You know, being in the cloud, right, the cloud service provider, whether it is AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, right, Alibaba, a couple different other cloud providers that's out there, right, but those are kind of like the major ones, right? They have these data centers that's built like all over the geographic area, right? So within the continental United States, Europe, all across, just depends on how big the cloud provider is. They have these big data centers, these warehouses, right? And like, let's say, like I mentioned before, like it's a massive power outage, right? That's going to cause customers to lose a lot of data. So that's why we encourage customers, right, to back up their data, right? So you use a service like AWS Backups, and it backs it up on a regular schedule, so that way you don't have to go in there manually and do it. There's a bunch of different things that can happen. Like I mentioned, you have power outages, or you have natural disasters, right? Where you have earthquakes, you know, you have tornadoes, right? Hurricanes, so on and so forth. It all just depends on like where the actual data center is located for the cloud provider. Now, for some cloud providers, like I know Google, you can kind of look up the location of their data centers, right, to kind of see, okay, where is my data actually being stored, right? But for AWS, right, their data centers are like secret, right, because they want to provide like an extra layer, you know, for the customer, so they don't want to, you know, like let everyone know the location of their data centers. All right, but like basically what it is like, you know, you would have a data center close to a location, and then that right there will be how you provide services to a specific company. Because the closer you are, of course, the more bandwidth, the more you can reach out, and the faster you can actually get services and stuff like that. So it's very, very important where you actually put your data centers in relation to your customers, right? Like a lot of different companies out there use different services. Like, so if you look at something like HBO Max, right, or you look at like Netflix or something like that, they have to have data centers that are close to their company, because they have viewers that's in Europe, right, viewers that's in South America, viewers that's in, you know, South Africa, right, viewers that's in the continental United States, like us, right, or like me. I can't say us because I don't know who's watching, but you know, like, so they have to build these data centers close to the location, store all of their data, their movies, right, all the series and stuff that you watch, right, and then make sure that it's always functional. That way all the customers can use their services, right? So this is very, very important when it comes to data disaster recovery, okay? So there's a lot of things that go into disaster recovery. So just like how we was looking at the game a few seconds ago, and the customer was asking us about, you know, when we asked the customer about, hey, do you have a recovery time objective, right? Or do you have a recovery point objective, right? There's many, many things that go into disaster recovery. Okay, so now it looks like our game has actually come up, right? So now we're going to go into our cloud environment, and then now start looking to see what we have to do for our customer. So when you come here to the game, right, you have a step-by-step instruction, right? It's going to take us through a whole bunch of steps. So I see 29 steps. Once you do these steps, right, after you complete the steps, step-by-step guided tour, then you're going to be asked to do this on your own. So you have to remember, like, okay, what did I do in order to accomplish this mission, and then go out there and do it on your own. So let's see if we can get through it. All right, so step one, review the Practice Lab. This is more of an administrative step, right? So we'll just skip step one. All right, now we can open up our AWS Console, All right, so now we're going to open up our console, and it's going to take us inside the cloud, right? And then for those of y'all that's watching, this is your first time in the cloud, right? What is the cloud, right? Well, you know, there's many, many different answers to that. To break it down in the simplest form, right? This is how you interact with cloud services. You have the AWS Console. It's the same thing if you logged into Microsoft. You would have the Microsoft Azure Console where you can come in and operate with all these different services, right? So this is just the AWS Console. When you come into the console for the first time, you're going to have a list of recently visited services. And then if you cannot find the service that you're looking for, right, then you can just come up in here. So like if I went up in here, I typed something like EC2, then all the different services would come up, okay? So that's just, you know, a brief introduction. If I came up here, this is Cloud Shell. This is like the interactive shell you can use, where you can use the CLI commands to interact with all your services, all right? So now let me get back into the game. Okay, so right now what it's telling me to do is type in EC2 and then click on EC2. So that's gonna be the first step that we do here today. All right, so I can find here my recently visited services. So I just go ahead and click on it right there, okay? All right, so now that I brought up EC2, okay, in the search results, go to EC2, then go to the next step. All right, so in the left navigation pane, click on instances. So once you click on your EC2 service, right, EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. These are the web servers that pretty much make everything happen in the cloud, right? Doesn't matter what app you're using on your web phone, there was some coder, some developer that went ahead and developed all their code, and they're probably deploying it using these EC2 virtual machines, right? All right, cool. So let's go to instances right here. Click instances and then click Web UI. All right, Web UI stands for user interface. So we'll come into Web UI right here, and it's asking us to click on Web UI. When you click on Web UI, when you check this box, now all the information that's coming up is all about your instance, like the IP address, the public DNS, all this stuff, so on and so forth, that I've kind of explained in multiple videos, right? But we always have new viewers, right? All right, so choose Web UI and then click on storage. So we'll come up here, click on our storage right here. All right. All right, so click on storage, scroll down to block devices, and then go to the next step. So the concept behind this is Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute provides scalable computing capacity to AWS Cloud. You can use EC2 to launch as many or as few virtual servers or instances as you need, configure security and networking, and manage storage. All right, so it tells us to click on storage and then scroll down to the bottom. So we clicked on storage. Yes, we did. And then we scroll down to the bottom. Now let's go to our next step, step 4. Under volume ID, select and copy the provided ID, then paste it to a text editor. Okay, cool. So now let me go ahead, come here. So this is our volume ID right here, right? So let me see if I can click on this real quick. All right, cool. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this volume ID, okay? Do a Control-C because I'm using Windows. I can do it like this, or I can just come here and then copy the volume ID. I have a text editor pulled up off screen, so let me go ahead and copy and paste that right there. All right, good. We're good to go. Moving to the next step. The concept behind that is the root device for an Amazon EC2 instance launched from an AMI, Amazon Machine Image, is an Amazon EBS Elastic Block Store volume created from an Amazon EBS snapshot. So for those of y'all that don't know, an EBS volume, every web server has an EBS volume, and pretty much just look at it as like a virtual hard drive, like how you go to the store and you buy those hard drives that got 2, 3, 10, 250 terabytes. It's just a virtual hard drive. That's what it is, okay? All right, cool. So now let's go ahead and click on our next step. All right, so in the volume section, check the box, right? And then you want to click on tags. Then you want to click on manage tags, right? So we come here, click on our volume ID. Our volume ID is checked, all right? Then we want to click on tags and then manage tags, okay? We click on tags and then we click on manage tags here, right? So tags, you know, when you're a major corporation, for those of y'all that's going to become cloud engineers, right? So when you're working for these major companies, man, they have like hundreds and thousands of different web servers or assets in the cloud, and it's hard to keep track of all of them, right? That's why you have tags. So you can tag this as, hey, this is HR spring, right? Or HR fall. Hey, this is accounting. This is marketing. Like, you can tag whatever department you're looking for, and that just groups all your resources together, okay? Now, in this case, what we're doing is we're tagging it for the use of backups, right? So that way the backup service can pick up on it. Okay, so we got it, manage tags. All right, cool. All right, so add tags, click add tag. The concept behind this is you can assign metadata to your AWS resources in the form of tags. Each tag is a label consisting of a user-defined key and value. So you have key value pairs. Those of y'all that's familiar with databases, right? Key value pairs, okay? Tags can help you manage, identify, organize, search for, or filter resources. You can create tags to categorize resources by purpose, by owner, environment, or other criteria, okay? All right. So now the tags that we want to use, right? So it's telling us, hey, the first tag we're going to assign is backup and then true. Let's hold up right quick, guys. That's how my YouTube video player is going off right here. All right, cool. So we have tags, right? And it says backup and true. So we're going to add those tags, the backup tag and then the true tag, okay? So let's go ahead and add a tag. Then we got backup here. Got to make sure I spell that correctly. And then true. Now, it's not really, doesn't really matter if it's like case sensitive for your tags, but you want to always just make sure that you're doing that, right? So let me double check that one more time. I got backup here, and then I got true here, and then we're going to save that guy, right? All right, cool. So bam. So we tagged our volume. All right, so now, and then the concept behind this, right? Each resource can have a maximum of 50 user created tags, okay? All right, cool. So now, all right, let me see. So navigate back to the instances page, all right, the Amazon EC2 console, and then choose the checkbox for the web UI, which is web user interface, right? Click the tags tab, review the added backups tag, repeat the previous procedure for the Bastion host as well. All right, so now what it wants us to do is navigate back to our instances. All right, go back to web UI. Let's go to our tags, and then we're monitoring our tags, right? So you see we added that tag, which is backup and true. We can verify that right there, okay? So that's what it's asking us to do, okay? So we did that, and then what we want to do is repeat the process for Bastion host. So once again, all right, now we uncheck that because you can't check two or three things at one time. So now we come to Bastion host, we go to tags, we go to manage tags, right? And then you see we have, okay, manage tag, backup true, name, Bastion host, all right, is there. All right, good. Let me just double check the web UI again. Let's make sure we're good. All right, backup true. All right, good. Everything is good. All right, cool. We want to make sure that we see both of those there and there, which we just did. The key, notice that the key backup and the value true are on both resources. Okay, so that's good. Go to the next step. All right, so now we're going into our service, AWS Backup. All right, so now we're going to go, just like how we showed y'all at the beginning, right? We come over to the services, and then we want to type in, we can just type in backup, and it'll pull up, okay? Now, a cool thing you can do when you start playing with all these services, if you want to save them because you use them all the time, then you can just add them to your favorites, right? And now they'll just pop up here at the top, right? So you just click on AWS Backup. All right, cool. So type AWS Backup, click Backup, got it. All right, I don't think I need to read the concept. All right, good. Now what we want to do is create a backup vault, okay? So in the left navigation pane, click Backup Vault. In the Backup Vault section, click Create Backup Vault. Go to the next step. A backup vault is a container that stores and organizes your backups. When you first use the AWS Backup console in an AWS region, the console automatically creates a default vault. Okay. All right. So now we come here First thing is click on Backup Vaults, and the second is Create Backup. All right, and then now you see that's defaulted right there. Okay, cool. So let me see. Create Backup. Let me see. Yep, Backup Vaults, and then Create Backup Vault. So we want to create a Backup Vault. Okay. All right, so for the Backup Vault name, we want to type PUP World Backup, right? So now let me see if I can copy and paste that guy. I may or may not be able to do it. It all depends on the video that I'm making. Yep, so here we go. Can't do that, all right. I don't know what, oh, you know what though? Let me try something here. I might be able to do it if I do it to a text editor first. Sometimes it works that way. Like, I don't know, something is like doing it from the actual game to the actual game. For me, I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, y'all can tell me. Cause like, it just rarely ever works. So what I did was, if you have the same issue at home, what I did was I went and copy and pasted, and I pasted it to like a text document or like a Word document or something like that. Then I texted it from the Word document to, yeah, unnecessary. Got it, but it works. All right, cool. So now we're gonna choose, all right, so the game has already provided us with the default encryption key. So that's what we're gonna do right here. All right, so we're gonna choose this encryption key, all right, that's already been created for us, and you see the status is enabled, okay? All right, so the concept behind this, right, when creating a backup vault, you must specify the AWS Key Management Service encryption key that encrypts some of the backups placed in the vault, right? So like I was mentioning earlier in the video, just that extra layer of security there. All right, so now it wants us to click on this hamburger menu. That's what it's called, this little thing up here. It looks nothing like a hamburger, but that's what it's called, hamburger menu, right? All right, so click Create Backup Vault, right? In the left side panel, click on the menu icon, 3 lines. To expand the navigation pane, go to the next step. All right, so we want to come here, click on the hamburger menu, and then go to the next step. All right, and once we do that, it says Create Backup Vault. All right, so let's go ahead and click on Create. So our PUP World Dash Backup has been created now, okay? All right, cool. So AWS, see, hey, Uncle Trey, how many parts do you think this series will be? It should be about 10 different parts. It should be about 10. That's how many episodes it's going to be. This is episode 4. I did the cloud formation episode. I actually had some issues recording it, but I'm going to release it later. But they won't let me go back and do it again. So I did do it, and I did provide the solution, but you just have to watch it and see with no sound. All right, so here we go. So AWS Backup encrypts backup copies by default whenever possible, even if the original backup is unencrypted. All right, good. All right, cool. So now it wants us to go to, okay, so inside of that default menu, now we're going to go to Protected Resources and click on Create On-Demand Backups. All right, cool. So the concept behind this, on the AWS Backup console, the Protected Resources page lists resources that have been backed up by AWS Backup at least once, such as Amazon EBS volumes or Amazon RDS, relational databases, right? Relational database service. If you're using AWS Backup for the first time, no resources are listed on this page, even if a resource was assigned to a backup plan, but not run a scheduled backup job at least once. Okay, so we can understand that. So now we're gonna come to Protected Resources, click on that, and then click on Create Backup Plan. All right, so cool. So we come to Protected Resources, like the concept mentioned, there's nothing here because we haven't backed it up at least once already. All right, so now we'll create our backup plan. All right, cool. So now this is a lot of steps, so we gotta pay attention. Just follow the numbers right here when you do it, all the way down, right? So here we go. So the resource, because we're gonna back up the web server, right? So we're gonna back up the EBS volumes, Elastic Block Store, right? So the resource type would be EBS, the volume ID. Let me see what my volume ID is. So let's go here to EBS, right? and then volume ID. So I have 2 volumes, but that's the one right there because I copied and pasted off camera. So I know that this is the correct volume that it's asking me for, right? Now, you see this diagram is gonna have this volume number. Just make sure that you check that it's the volume that you had copy and pasted earlier when we was doing the exercise, okay? All right, so now it's gonna say, hey, create backup now. All right, so we have that checked. All right, so the retention period, okay? So you have the days, and it says 7 days, right? So every 7 days, so we say retention period, okay? So it's days, and it's 7. Now, don't be worried, right? Because it looks different than the diagram, right? So you see over here it's like this, and then you come over here, it's like this, right? Don't worry about that. That's just kind of like how it's laid out sometimes. It just happens like that. Sometimes they change stuff around, and it just looks different. All right, cool. And then, okay, backup vault. So the vault that we created earlier was the pup world backup, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so the pup world backup. All right, cool. And then the IAM role, right? Identity access management. All right, so for the IAM role, it looks like we have right now, we have the default role. Okay, so we'll just keep the default role, and it says, if the AWS Backup default role is not present, one will be created for you with the correct permissions, right? Because permissions is very important. That's a whole nother video. I'm not gonna go into it. Just know, like IAM, Identity Access Management, right? That's like your login credentials. That's how you do everything in the cloud, okay? It gives you permission to do everything in the cloud by groups and roles and users and different things like that. All right, cool. So now, let me go. Then we scroll to the next step. Okay, so now, okay, it wants us to choose the actual IAM role, and then our IAM role would be the backup role. All right, cool. So we'll just come here, choose the IAM role. It would be the backup. Now, when you have all these different roles like this, all right, you don't have to scroll down. All you got to do is just kind of type, you know, what it says. It's the backup role. That just makes it easier for you to find it, right? All right, so we're using the backup role, and then create on-demand backup, right? Number 3. All right, good. So we'll create that on-demand backup right there, and you see our backup is in progress, okay? Blue means pending. When it turns green, that's good. If you ever see red in the cloud, that's bad. All right, cool. All right, now, while we're waiting on that to go, all right, so you see it says, hey, this is review. Everything is running, so it's creating our backup, right? So on the job page, on the backup jobs tab, on the status, review the backup status, the backup takes 5 to 6 minutes. Adios mio, right? The backup takes 5 to 6 minutes to be completed. You will verify the status in the later steps. Okay, got it. Go to the next step. The concept behind this, right? So by default, okay, AWS Backup creates crash consistent backups of Amazon EBS volumes that are attached to Amazon EC2 instances. Crash consistency means that snapshots for every Amazon EBS volume attached to the same Amazon EC2 instance are taken at the exact same moment, right? So that's good. All right, so now it told us that, hey, you know, our backup would take about like 5 minutes to kind of spin up, right? So I'll just have to kind of talk while that's happening. Let's talk a little bit about relation. Like, so how, like if you're playing this game, right? Like if you're someone who's looking to get into cloud computing, okay? And you know, you don't know where to start. And you might be wondering like, hey, if I play this game, right? How does this game kind of relate to what I would be doing on a day-to-day basis, right? So I'll take a little time to explain that, you know, while we're sitting here, you know, waiting for our resources to kind of spin up. So basically, like, if you go through like all these series, right? Like these series that we've done over the course of so many weeks, right? All these episodes and stuff. Everything that you see in there, you're gonna do once or twice, maybe throughout the day or throughout the week, right? Like in our last video, right, we were working with AWS Cloud Formation. And like for me, I don't use Cloud Formation a lot. I do use it probably maybe once or twice a week, right? So like, over the course of a couple months, you start to learn kind of like more and more about it, right? Like something like EC2, you'll probably end up using like EC2 machines kind of like every day, right? Excuse me. You'll have to go in and spin up like a new EC2. Like IAM, you're going to use that every time that you log into the cloud, right? Like you set it up one time, you get your credentials, or you find other ways to log in, and then you're going to use that. Like VPCs, security groups. Every time you go out and build something, you're going to use it. So to answer anyone's question, yes, this relates very, very well to like building that foundational block of things that you will actually do in the cloud for real, right? Yes, it does translate, believe me, right? Like I remember, like right now, I've kind of been working, I've been working for AWS for about almost 2 years. And when I first started this game, when I first started working for AWS, right, I was stumbling and fumbling through all these exercises as well. So, don't let that kind of like get you discouraged or anything like that. It takes time, it takes practice, you know what I'm saying? So over the course of you just keep on playing with it, you'll understand that much more, and then you'll be that much more proficient, okay? So I see right now, all right, it's saying that our status of our backup job, at least that has completed, right? So it says, hey, our backup is still in progress. The status is completed. I don't see you got a refresh button. Okay, so let me see if I can close that. We might be good to go. All right, so now review that. We're good. Oh, I see it says part 3 is missing. Part 3 is not missing right now. It's just private. I'm gonna have to put it like a disclaimer in the in the description, man. So what happened was I did part 3, but I was recording it in like another system. So there's times where it's like I'm talking, but you can't hear anything. It's mute. Every time I switch screen, the sounds go in and out. So immediately after I finish this video, I will just go ahead and put it up, and then I'll just type in the description like, hey, I did it. Just look for the solution. Everything is going to be okay. But you're going to have to kind of just watch the video because there's no sound involved when I give the solution. So just be on the lookout for that. But part 3 is already done. All right. And I wanted to recreate it, but the game would not let me go back to a previous part. So that's the downfall with that. All right. So let's keep on moving. So now we have to create a backup plan. So we created a vault, right? Now we're creating a backup plan. So we'll come over here and we go to backup plan, right? And then create backup plan. All right, cool. So now we go to the next step. Okay, so now it's going to say build a new plan, and we're going to use our backup plan name is going to be pup_world-backup-plan. So let me go ahead and copy and paste this guy, right? Let me go ahead and copy and paste this guy right here onto this document and put an N there. And then I will copy and paste it from here and then copy paste over here. All right, so choose build new plan and then have the plan name right here. So we got build new plan, then have the plan name right here. Then we want to scroll down. All right. Now the concept behind this, okay, in AWS, a backup plan is a policy expression that defines when and how you want to back up your AWS resources, such as Amazon DynamoDB tables or Amazon Elastic File System, right? Let me go back, make sure I didn't miss nothing. Yo, I didn't. All right, cool. So the backup rule configuration. So now we have to create backup rules for how long that we actually want to back up. Like what's the frequency that we want these automated backups to happen to protect our data, okay? So the backup rule name is gonna be backup rule, right? Backup_rule. Okay, then the backup vault will be the vault that we created earlier. The backup frequency is gonna be weekly because we want it to happen every week, okay? And then use the backup windows. We'll keep the default setting for that, and then we'll scroll down. So now let me go ahead and get started with this backup rule. Let me copy and paste this guy real quick. Come down. All right, then let me copy and paste it from here. All right, cool, copy and paste that guy. All right, so creating our backup plan. Now, where was that? Hold up now. Okay, backup rule configuration. All right, cool. To make sure nothing else changed. Okay, build new plan, backup plan. All right, so backup is gonna be, this is our vault, right? Our backup frequency is gonna be weekly, okay? They had Sunday check. Let me double tap. Yep, Sunday, and then we'll keep the default, and then we'll scroll down to the bottom. So we got Sunday, keeping our default here, all right? Scrolling down to the bottom. I didn't create backup plan. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so review the summary section, okay? And then the backup plan name and backup plan ID are displayed here. So it's very, very important for you to know this. So backup plan ID is right here, all right? This is what it looks like, okay? And the name, this is the backup plan name. You can find it within the summary section, okay? So, see, assign resources. How did I get to this screen here? I don't think I meant to do that. Let me cancel that right quick. This is my backup plan. These are my backup rules. Where did I get that from? So backup plan, okay, summary. So this is my backup plan ID and my backup plan name is right here. All right, good. All right, cool. So now let's go to step 22. Okay, assign resources. So that was actually the next step. So we can come on down here. All right, cool. So assign resources. All right, so in the assign resources assignment section, click assign resources, go to the next step. The concept behind this, right? So you can assign resources to the backup plan, and AWS Backup automatically backs up and retains backup of those resources according to the backup plan. So resource is like interchangeable with services. So if you want to back up like our EBS volumes, right? That's a service, back that up. Back up our databases, back that up, right? So that's what we are assigning resources. So resource assignment, so that's cool. All right, so we'll assign resources. All right, cool. So click on assign resources, which we did. All right, so tagged resources. So the resource to the assignment name is tagged resources. All right, resources that have a tag. So let me go ahead and copy and paste this guy like we always been doing. Let me put this over here. Copy and paste that. That's an S on that. Then let me copy and paste this here. All right. So now we go to the, let me see, was that? No, the resource assignment name is tagged resources. Yep. Then choose the IAM role. Okay. So we're going to choose an IAM role. It's going to be the same one that we used earlier. So remember, you don't have to go through all of them, right? You just click on backup. We're going to use that backup role. All right, cool. And then scroll down to where it says assign resources. All right, cool. So we're going to come down, and now we're at the assign resources section. Oh, this might look different. Assign resources, define resource selection, include all resource type. Yep, include all resource type. Then we're going to add tags, right? And then the key, all right, is going to be backup. The condition for the value is going to be equals, and then the value is true, okay? So type backup. So we're going to add the tags here. We're going to type, oh, it's already here for us, great. The condition is, if anyone remembers, it's equals, right? And then true. All right, good. All right, cool. So now we got that done, okay? Now the concept behind using these tags, right? So using tags to assign resources is a quick and scalable way to back up multiple resources. Any resource with the tags that you specify in the resource assignment are assigned to the backup plan. For example, if you assign resources with the tag, key as backup, and value as true, you have assigned all of your resources tagged with the key value pair, right? Be aware that tags are case sensitive. So they are case sensitive, okay? So you always gotta make sure when you're typing them out, make sure they're case sensitive. And then we'll go to assign resources. So there you go. So we'll assign resources, continue resource assignment. Click continue, which we'll do, okay. All right, cool. You have successfully created resource assignment, tag resources. Remember when I tell you when stuff is green in the cloud, that means you're good to go. Great. All right, cool. So now we want to click on jobs and then backup jobs. So now come down here to jobs. All right, that's a lot of stuff, man. All right, cool. And then backup jobs. All right, under the status review to ensure that the backup job status is completed. All right, yeah. So we want to make sure it's completed. It's completed right here. We're G to G. Good. That means good to go. All right. Okay. And then, so in the left navigation pane, click protected resources. Protected resources is right here. All right. In the protected resources section under resource ID, click the ID that matches your web server volume ID. And this is the web server volume ID, which we had earlier. So we want to click on that, right? So we clicked on it. Then we want to click on this radio button right here. All right. So it says review this snapshot of our EBS volume, right? So it's taking like a picture. That way you can restore this later on, okay? All right. So here we go. So, all right, cool. All right, so hey, congratulations. Now we've kind of gone through the step-by-step aspect of this. Now it's going to ask us to do something ourselves. So we have to go create a whole nother solution, right? So let's see what it says. So all you do is now come over to the next section. Now you can't see it, right? Because I'm in the way, so let me drag this up here. You have a section right here that's called DIY. That means do it yourself. So now we're going to click on the DIY section here. All right, now let me move my camera back down here. See? It's so cool that I'm aware of that. I want y'all to see everything that's happening. Yeah. All right, cool. So DIY activities, do-it-yourself activities here. Configure an AWS backup plan for an Amazon Aurora serverless cluster by using the default backup vault. Assign the Amazon Aurora serverless cluster as a resource by using the tag backup DIY true. Okay. Now let's see. How are we going to do this? Let's see if anything's in Aurora. I see RDS. I don't see Aurora though. Let me see. Databases. All right, so here we go, lab stack. So we have this right here. And see actions. I don't see no tags here. So let me see. Okay, that's my Aurora SQL serverless right there. All right, cool. So now let's see what it's asking here. So it's saying configure an AWS backup plan for Amazon Aurora serverless cluster. Okay, got it. Assign the Amazon Aurora serverless cluster as a resource by using the tag backup and true. Now, I'm not seeing how to actually tag this resource here, right? So what we might just have to do is create the backup plan. All right, let's do that first. So let's come to AWS Backups. We're going to create a new backup plan here. All right, so we're going to create a backup plan. It says build new plan, backup plan name. A backup every 12 hours, got it. We will verify you created an automated backup for Amazon Aurora serverless cluster by using the tag backup -true and the default backup vault. All right, so we're going to use the default backup vault, got it, and we've got to create a backup plan. So I just call, let's see, we'll verify that you created an automated backup plan. Maybe I just call this Aurora, and then backup plan. All right, cool. I don't think they specified like a name. And then, let's see, server, less backup plan. All right, cool. Now, the default backup vault. I never created a backup vault. So now let me see. Configure an AWS backup plan for Amazon Aurora cluster by using the default backup vault. This is the backup vault is default. Okay, got it. Backup frequency is every 12 hours. Okay. All right, cool. For Amazon Aurora serverless cluster by using the default backup vault. Assign the Amazon Aurora serverless cluster as a resource by using this tag. All right, so I'm creating my backup plan here. So I'm creating a plan, and now I'm assigning resources. So include all resource types, backup DIY. I'm just gonna put equals again, or contains. Hold up now. Yep, true. All right, so true. There we go. And then assign resources. Hold up now. There we go. All right, cool. So let's go with RDS here. Choose resources. Oh no. Resource type RDS. No resources here. Let me see. Select a specific resource. It should be, oh, Aurora here, serverless. So I can get rid of this. All right, cool. Yep, there we go. Lab stack, all clusters. All right, so I found the Aurora list, the Aurora database, and I got the proper tag on it. Yep, and lab stack, that's my cluster that I want to back up. So I'm gonna assign this resource right here. Backup plan creation was successful. You can now add additional schedule rules or whatever. I don't think I need to do that. So now the backup plan ID. So now let me come here, open up my hamburger menu. Now I have an Aurora backup plan. Then I have the backup plan ID right here. Now let's see if this works out. We don't know. Inquiring minds want to find out if it actually works or if we did something wrong. Let's see. The backup plan, okay. So the backup plan is not covering the Aurora cluster. Add the requested tags. So that's what it was. So I couldn't figure out how to add those tags. So now, do I add the tags? Because like I did it in the EC2 instance, right? So now with the Aurora cluster, let me see if I can come back here. I got to figure out how to actually tag this Aurora cluster. I don't even see the cluster here. If I go to databases, it's right here though. So let me click on this. Oh, shit. Oh, excuse me. No, sorry for language. Here go the tags right here, man. All right, cool. Now, backup DIY is already right here, though. That's what I don't get. So backup DIY is already right here. So that means that it's tagged. Maybe, let me see. Let me validate again. See if it's not there. All right, so the backup plan is not covering the Aurora cluster. Add the requested tag. Okay, got it. Go back to the backup plan. So I got to go back to the backup plan. This is my Aurora backup plan, and it says it's not covering assign resources. I assign resources and backup plan tags. Okay, so let me try that again. So now let me assign resources, right? And we're assigning Aurora here because I see now where to add the tags. So select resources type. I did. Choose your cluster. All clusters, right? Exclude specific resource ID from the selected resource. Optional. Nope, I don't need that. Refine selection using tags. So now the tag is going to be backup DIY equals true. Okay. Backup DIY, and we'll put equals, then we'll put true here. Then we'll say assign resources. What's happening here? Okay, got it. Resource assignment name, we'll call this Aurora assignment. All right, cool. I didn't spell that right. Aurora assign, that's fine. All right, cool. So assign resources. What happened here? It's not authorized to perform. Something was with the IAM role. Got it. See, I messed that up right there. So you must choose the IAM role. That's what I was telling y'all about permissions earlier. Hey, players mess up, baby. That's what I was telling y'all about permissions earlier. You have to have permissions to do everything. The mistake that I made was not choosing the correct IAM role, because you must use that backup role is the only one that's authorized to do this, right? To do this action, okay? So here we go. So now, right? Now we are G2G, okay? And I don't know if I need to do this again. Backup plan tags. I'm just gonna add the tag anyway, man, just to make sure that we're good to go. So I got all my bases covered here. All right, so now with this backup plan ID, the Aurora backup plan, okay? Now we should be good to go here. So now let me do old copy and paste. Bam, validate, see where we're at now. Bam, and you did it, right? Congratulations. All right, so hey, we solved the problem on behalf, right, of our customer. So now we can go back to our customer and report the good news, right? But it's very important. So look, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. You might mess up certain things. You see that at the end, right, even though I remembered like, hey, okay, I got to go back and I got to go tag the resource, I still forgot to use the correct IAM role, right? So that's very important, okay? And you're going to see this through your journey as a cloud engineer. You might be going through, you might know what you're doing, but you got to always sit down and think about step by step of how you can reach a solution, okay? Now let's go ahead and exit this, go back to our customer and give them the good news. All right, so hey, she says, great job. This is just what I needed. Choose a reward. We'll choose this nice looking tower right here. All right, then we'll put it in our city. And they built us a building because we solved their problem. Now we went from 58% to 62% in the game, right? And we leveled up. All right, so hey, thank you all for joining me today for this episode of AWS Cloud Quest, backing up data, or AWS Backups, right? If you haven't done so already, please click like on the video, share the video with others, share it in Discord, share it in groups, subscribe to the channel so you can see, and hit the notification bell, right? So you can see all the videos as soon as I upload them, right?